Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jordan. I'm back with another episode of our podcast here. Today I am joined by a very special guest. Let's just go right into it. I don't even know what to introduce you, how to introduce you. One of the guys I'm closest with, Jeremy Pilarski. Jer, what's going on?
Good to be here with you, man, Jordan. We're laughing because we talk so much on the phone. We're in constant contact all the time. And it's just nice to do this. Nice to see you doing your own podcast, and I'm honored to be the guest.
Oh well, thank you for being honored. Now that we've got this formal stuff out of the way, now we can just get
Let's talk some real estate.
Let's be real. Let's talk. So there's a couple reasons why I wanted you to come on this podcast and do it now versus wait a little bit. So to give people watching this a context of us and our relationship and where we've come from and where we're going. Aside from us being cousins, obviously, and growing up together and everything, when I got my real estate license and got into the business, automatically I came and started working with you. You'd been in the business for, 10 years at that point or something like that? So you've been in for like 20 years?
So maybe a little less. I started in 2003. I started selling houses in 2003. I got my license in 2001. I worked in the offices in summers and stuff between university. Yeah. And then in 2003, I got my license. It was an awesome time to get your license at the time because there were only like 17,000 real estate agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board.
You mean like between Yonge and Bathurst and Steeles and Finch?
This was the whole like GTA. In the whole GTA, there were 17,000 real estate agents.
Wow.
So not many people got their real estate license between like the crash in the 90s, early 90s and the early 2000s. It like wasn't the thing to do.
Right.
Now if someone loses their job, they sit down with their family and their family says, "Why don't you get your real estate license?" Right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's when I got my license. I started selling real estate before Facebook existed.
Before what?
Before Facebook existed. And I came in right at the advent of Realtor.ca when listings were starting to be available to the public without going through a real estate agent.
Wow.
So just before my time, you had to actually, I wanted to look for houses, let's call a real estate agent. There's no Facebook, there's no Instagram, there's no Realtor.ca.
Right. So that was back when people used to fax offers.
There were faxed offers.
If you don't know what a fax machine is, look below. We'll put a picture of it.
They faxed offers, but actually, your manager would be like, "What are you faxing that offer for? Go to the house in person. Just don't make too many photocopies because photocopies are expensive." So I'm dating myself a little bit. So I feel like, the story I grew to tell that was of how I was, how am I uniquely suited to succeed in real estate story, was that I kind of came in at the beginning of technology.
Right.
And I still learned that old school sales, to be around the guys who were killing it in the 90s when the market was bad, hearing their stories, spending time with those guys, the OGs of real estate who are still around now and still killing it, was a really great entrance. And so I feel like I'm the guy that's on the cusp between the old school sales, the belly to belly sales, and then the stuff you're doing now, which is way more advanced than I was doing.
Right.
And I got to see both sides, so I feel really lucky about it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So when I got in, I came and we automatically started working together. You were working kind of yourself. We started this team. We started the Jeremy Pilarski Homes team. We thought that at that time we were doing crazy cutting edge stuff. We had an idea of starting to do videos. When at that time nobody else was doing videos.
Right. Well, so please play a clip now. But those videos we were doing. So we had this old flip cam.
I remember. One day when we committed to doing these videos. I remember we went to Henry's Cameras on Steeles. Yeah. And we went into Henry's Cameras and said, "What do we need to do to make videos that we can put on the internet?"
Right. Wasn't that? And then I had, I think I used, before I had a Mac, I used Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah.
And so we would record on a flip cam and we would just, record each other and we just played with it. And we just I think we spent a whole summer. I don't know if we talked to one buyer or seller. We were just, I just felt like this video thing was going to be good. And you know, we were a little too early probably, or we just didn't know what we were doing with it. But it was exciting and it was fun. And I look back at those videos, I feel like we did a great job.
Yeah, I've reposted some recently, like as throwback Thursdays and whatever. And it's hilarious to watch. I mean, we went to Yonge and Dundas Square and did stuff there. We did whatever thoughts and ideas we had, and some stuff we did with, you know, what was happening in the market, and other just like, you know, the real estate tips and stuff like that. But we just wanted to make content at that point. Because nobody else was doing it.
So at some point we had to say, okay, guys, like this can be our part-time job. We got to get back to selling real estate in a real way. I had a good database. You were cold calling a lot and developing leads. And we sort of started to just work together and build up our business together and build a brand together. And that was just, we had a great time doing it.
We had a lot of fun doing it. I remember, you know, when we first started and we would go on appointments and meet with people, our conversations would always jumble a little. You'd be talking and I'd say something and step on you, and we'd go back and forth. And I think after like 2 or 3, we found the groove and we found like the sweet spot and just like sailed from there, like got into the flow.
Yeah, I think, you know, and for anyone who's listening, like starting a team or anything like that, you have to realize that someone's got to take charge of the conversation. If I was waiting for you to speak, I didn't want to step on your toes if it was your lead, and you didn't want to step on my toes because I was the team leader at the time. Right. So then we both sort of just sat back, and I remember we had one appointment. There was a kid running around in the background.
It was in a condo. We met it was a condo. We were in like the meeting or the party room or something. We sat because they didn't even want us coming up to the unit.
Did you ever sell them something?
I don't think so. I don't even think we never even saw their place.
Oh yeah, I remember. But after that, we just had a conversation. We're like, this doesn't work. I said, I'm gonna do my thing. Anything you have to say, you can say, but just let me go with my thing. And you sat kind of silently for a while and let me do my thing. And then I remember you'd start to like know my shtick. Didn't take very long to figure out my shtick. And you'd start to like say that you were excited for the people of like what my objection handle was next. Like watch what he's gonna say next. You're kind of like, oh, he's got an answer for that. Don't worry. Right. And you threw in that, and then you started, you know, handling some of the objections yourself, and then you took it over and you added your style and your spin. And that's how we worked together. And I think
good fun.
Yeah, it was fun. For me, the most fun, like once we started to get into a real groove, our brand was really honesty and being direct with clients and just telling them how to do it properly, I think. That was the brand we were creating. And so in order to show clients how we do that, we'd go into a house and we'd look around the house, and our signature was right. What was our signature?
When we both nail the price?
Yeah, I would write down a price on a paper, or you'd call it out, or vice versa. And we'd say, okay, we're going to tell you what we think it's going to sell for. And we just put it out there. When a lot of agents were trying to tell them a price that would impress them, a lot of agents were trying to, you know, not commit to anything. And we just said, we're just going to put it out there. We're going to tell you what it's going to sell for. And we're going to live and die by how well we understand the market and how honest we are with the buyers and sellers.
And I think our confidence in that came from, we would spend, and I don't even think you could time how many hours a day we would spend doing this, but like analyzing and like with a magnifying glass, looking at where we had our next appointment and what was happening there, or what was happening in the market in general, and why was it happening. We spent so much time analyzing and nitpicking all the little minutia that was happening in the market that I think gave us that confidence to say, this is what it is.
And we learned that debate was so good. That debate was so good that the clients should be in on it. The clients need to hear how we arrive at a price. And it's not just, you know, the typical thing is bring the comps and show them and highlight this has a finished basement, this has an unfinished basement. There's a science to that, but there's an art to just understanding the market. And if you're in a market for long enough and you see it, you know, you'll get there on price. You'll figure it out. But it takes confidence. It takes time to build the confidence. So, have those conversations. Those conversations are so good. Find someone in your office. People should do that. And just have conversations about what you think stuff's going to sell for.
And I think that was for us. That was like one of the biggest things that we would always do.
Yeah.
And aside from just talking regularly a whole bunch.
Yeah, we just everything was like, and then we came up with so many things, right? We came up with rules, we came up with ideas.
We should have written them all down. We could have a manual of how to run the business.
But actually, you know what I'm doing right now in terms of managing our Remax Realtron and the offices and working with agents in education, how many of my sessions do you watch and remember the time we figured that out?
I can see where we were sitting when you had the aha moment.
Yeah, so the 10% rule, right?
The 10% rule is about listing and underpricing.
Should we bust it out right now? We're going to launch it here.
Let's go.
The 10% rule is if you are listing a price and underpricing it to hold off for multiple offers and you put an offer date on the property, it has to be at least 10% below the lowest price you think it should sell for.
Right. Where you deem market value.
Where you deem market value. So if the market value, the lowest end of market value is 2 million, you have to be listed below 1.8.
Right.
And why is the 10% rule? Do you remember why the 10% rule works?
Oh, I remember. Tell me, what do you think?
Okay.
Why is the 10%
so why the 10% rule? Oh, sorry, you're supposed to be asking me questions.
It's okay. We're not. We're talking. We're talking.
The reason the 10% rule works is because there's an assumption that the agent showing the property has no idea what it's going to sell for.
Right.
And when an agent walks in and sees the property listed at 1.8, the buyer says, "What do you think it's going to sell for?"
Right.
And most agents will estimate some number about 10% above 1.8. I don't know, maybe it's going to sell for like 2. So your buyer's already making the decision on 2 million. And if they have to make a decision on 2 million and it's only worth 1.9, you're going to lose a lot of your buyers.
Right.
And that's the 10% rule.
Yep. And I mean, we talk about it. We've had experiences where we've veered from it or thought we were going to be smarter, outsmart the rule. Yeah. And the rule kicks your ass back into line every time.
The rule, with very few exceptions, the rule will kick your ass if you don't have it.
Yeah, the rule works.
And by the way, when the market gets really hot, kind of like it is right now, the 10% rule becomes the 15 or the 20% rule because people are even more afraid and they've lost so many properties that they give up if they're close.
Yeah.
So, and you know, the other part of that, to understand why the 10% rule is okay and why you should underprice is you cannot underprice a property.
Right.
You cannot price it too low.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to underprice a property, but super easy to be 1 or 2% high and be dead in the water.
Right. And so, you know, how I learned not to overprice properties is just the pain of sitting with a listing on the market for 60 days, doing a Saturday and Sunday open house in the middle of August for a property that's been on the market for 2 months and no one comes into your open house because everyone has seen it.
Right.
That's painful.
Yeah.
It's painful to have those conversations with the clients.
Right.
And it's so worth it just to get the price right the first time. And the client ends up with more money in their pocket every time.
Better for your client always.
As soon as you have to reduce the price, you're looking at less money.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's still relevant today. Still, 20%, 30% of listings are not selling, even in this super duper hot market.
Which most people wouldn't even believe. Because, I mean, I speak to people every day. And yes, I mean, right now there is an extreme lack of inventory on the market. That's for sure. But if you said to people, I bet you if we put this out, if we did a clip of this and put a poll and said, do you think that 30% of listings that are on the market don't sell, yes or no? Most people would say no.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. And I talk to agents about the first thing you have to tell people, if you want to demonstrate your value to them as an agent, you have to tell them that not all listings sell and not all listings sell for over asking.
Right.
In fact, only half the listings that come out sell over asking.
Right.
So 50% of listings are either going to relist, they're not going to sell, they're going to sell below asking, whatever it is, something other than selling over asking. It's only half the time. It's sort of like, you know, my friend who's a gambler, he only wins. I only hear he went to the casino when he wins.
Right.
Right? The rest of the time.
You don't hear the stuff that's not as glamorous.
I played golf yesterday, but because I didn't play well, I didn't tell you.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about the negative experiences. You only talk about the positive stuff.
Right. So everyone goes to a dinner party and say, we sold for $200,000 over asking in 2 days. We are so amazing. and the person next to you is maybe their house is listed and they're not even saying their house is listed because it's been on the market for 45 days.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, all of that is an element of just the marketing plan and the strategy and how you take it to market and all of that, which is a whole conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Because we can sit here and talk about this for
hours and hours and hours and hours.
We'll be here till next month. But I wanted to talk about something because another one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. So you mentioned kind of what you're doing now. So we worked together for, I guess it was like 8 years.
7 or 8 years, something like that.
I guess about 2.5 years ago, you transitioned what you were doing.
So yeah, almost 4 years ago, actually. Yeah, I know.
4 years ago?
It was, I think the beginning of 2018. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
2018. End of 2017, beginning of 2018. You were killing it. You knew all my whole shtick. I had, less to teach you. I certainly didn't need to be there with you on a day-to-day basis. Your passion for our business was growing. At the same time, my family business, which was Remax Realtron, was ready for some transitioning itself.
Right.
And so I realized that, ultimately at the end of the day, this team is going to be your team.
Right.
And I'm going to be at Remax Realtron head office. What better time than right now? We had been through the up of 2014, 15, 16, 17 when prices went crazy. We had been through the downturn of the first half of 2017.
Yeah.
And maybe part of the reason maybe I accelerated the time to do it was because the market was a little more uncertain.
Right.
And now we were not only taking care of ourselves, we were taking care of each other.
Yeah.
And so if the pie was going to be a little bit smaller, you needed a bigger piece of the pie.
Right.
So you were ready. You took over Remax. You didn't take over Remax.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you giving me the reins.
You took over our team and just ran with it.
Yeah.
You were excited. You did that. I was obviously in the background, and I started managing the office that we had worked at, and now you were working at.
Right.
So I became the manager of the Remax Realtron Shepherd office.
Yeah.
Did that for 3 years. Yeah, time flies, I know. Also, like the COVID thing and everything.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And then, actually, I'll start with what happened at the beginning of COVID. A super intense week or two for me at the very beginning of COVID. My wife was sick. She got like a fever and everything, so she got tested for COVID. It was a negative test, but it took 8 days to get the results.
Wow.
So I was at home. My wife was isolated in our bedroom. We didn't know what COVID was at the time.
Yeah, it was so unknown.
So she was isolated in the bedroom wearing gloves, and I was passing food through. At the same time, we had to figure out what we were doing in terms of shutting our offices and everything like that. But the bigger message that I had to get out was our agents had nowhere to go and no one to turn to.
Right.
And I was a manager of one of our offices and sort of looking to what's my next step in my career.
Yeah.
And not out of need for career, but the company really needed someone to get on and be the voice of Remax Realtron. So I was on about 8 days a week doing Zoom calls, doing Facebook Lives, just to keep our agents together and to answer questions, to give them news, to keep them working.
Right.
I remember April of 2020, we outpaced the market by 60%. So our sales were down. But if you look at our sales relative to Treb for that month versus the year earlier, we outpaced the market by 60%, which means our agents were working and other agents weren't working.
Right.
And we figured out how to do it safely. We were really early on virtual open houses.
Yeah.
We did all these things just to stay working, to keep top of mind, to let our clients know that we can sell real estate. And we were deemed essential service and everything like that. But that kind of led me to run the education of Remax Realtron, to take over basically the agent experience. And now I'm vice president of agent experience at Remax Realtron.
Right.
And that's my day-to-day gig right now.
That's what you're doing now. So you transitioned out. You're still we still talk, maybe not for like 6 hours a day anymore, but
hour and a half.
Yeah, maybe some 2 hours on some days. But so you've transitioned out. We've still got the team. I'm still working. Shane and I are still working together. We're still like plowing forward and just as motivated and through COVID have really adapted what we're doing and changed our processes and things like that to keep with the times and with the safety protocols and everything. And I mean, business has been great, thankfully through that. But one of the things that we never did, and we've talked a lot about it, is, in terms of our brand, which, started out 8-9 years ago, whatever it was, as the Jeremy Pilarski Homes team. Right. When you went and started managing and took a step back, we kind of threw your name off of it and just flipped it to JP because it was quick and easy and painless. But now we're at a point where, who is this JP guy? No one sees you really. No one knows who you are.
You're Jordan Glaser from JP, and people are trying to figure out what JP is.
Exactly. So, why I wanted to have you on is we are going to announce it through this, that we are going to do a big brand revamp in the coming weeks for our team, for our business, and take it away from the JP, or not take it away, but change the JP and turn it into JG.
Whoa. I don't know if the public's ready for it.
I know this is groundbreaking. This is earth shattering. Hold on to your seats if you're sitting down. But yeah, we're going to make the transition. I've been working on it for the last couple months, in what's the right way to do it. It's been a big fear of mine. Right. We've spoken a lot about it, and how do we do it to not shake things up. I don't want it to affect the brand we've built. We've been marketing as JP for 9 years. Right. We've spent a ton of money and a ton of effort and a ton of energy constantly marketing as it. But in order for it to make sense, now is the time to kind of make that transition. So to go from the JP Homes team to flip it over to the Jordan Glaser real estate team, and keep growing it like that. So we're going to, over the next couple weeks, start to roll out all of the branding and all of the marketing that we've been working on, which is pretty exciting. It's a pretty big step. But that's why I thought having you come and us talk about this, and, talking back and thinking back to where we were when we started 8 or 9 years ago, and where we thought we'd be in 10 years and in 20 years and where we are, it's pretty amazing with where we've gotten to today in terms of growing the business, and in terms of, for you, where you're going now, and, your next 10 years and 20 years, or however long it is.
Yeah, I think, our priority was protecting the stream of business, the brand, having a flow that worked. Yes. So we transitioned slowly and it worked, but I think you're at the right time. We're probably a year late.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I'm really excited for you to take this on, and it's been your team anyways.
Right.
Now you're going to have your name on it.
Right.
And I couldn't be more proud of you. I couldn't be more excited. I couldn't be happier. The whole deal. I'm really excited for what you're going to do now that your team has your name on it.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I think it's exciting. I think it'll be a good transition. I think it'll help us with branding and marketing and growing and moving forward, which obviously is the goal and the plan, without changing the mindset that we've had until now and the service we've had until now, and our focus and our goals of what we offer to our clients and stuff. Right. So
I think it made sense. And when we started, the reason, we talked about having Jeremy and Jordan real estate or something like that, there were a couple of reasons. The main reason we didn't want to do that, all the top teams, if you look at Barry Cohen, Frank Leo, Heaps Estrin, all these really great teams, real estate teams in Toronto, they're all under someone's name.
Right.
So I think it's important for the public to have someone to call.
Right.
And so we transitioned, and it took a little while to be Jordan Glaser from JP Homes, from Remax Realtron. Too many things for sure.
Yeah.
Now it's just going to make sense. Call Jordan Glaser. Right. That totally is seamless, and it's back to what it should have been.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah, I think there's an accountability with that. There's got to be a focus. We spent a lot of time on how do we brand this team back when we first started it.
Right.
So it's an interesting point to touch on, is it wasn't just because you had been in longer we picked that. We went through a lot of back and forth to figure out what was the right way, and that was how we came to that.
Yeah, I think if you look, a lot of agents that split their business or form a partnership or something like that, and they put both their names on the sign, I always think about what are the hesitancies that a buyer or a seller has before they call.
Right.
And one of them is, which guy am I calling?
Right.
What experience am I going to have with that one versus that one? How am I going to know if I call, who's going to answer? Am I calling someone directly? All these things, one of them is going to crop up for the person staring at your flyer, reading your post, whatever it is, and you missed the call. Right? And that's why one name at the top I always believe works.
Yeah.
And now I'm happy it's your name.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one less decision for people to have to make. Right? So yeah, I think that was a good move that we made when we did it. And now I'm excited for the next chapter, for the next 100 years that we keep working. And
so what is it? Is it Jordan Glaser Homes? Is it Jordan Glaser Real Estate?
Real estate.
Jordan Glaser Real Estate. That's also
one of the funny things that we always got with Jeremy Pilarski Homes or JP Homes is people a lot of the time mixed us up and thought that we built houses.
Right. Yeah.
Right. People. Oh, you build house? No. We don't build houses. So one of the reasons why I thought getting away from that a little was just to alleviate that confusion a little bit.
Yeah, I think in terms of branding, I like it better. I think it's more sophisticated. I think it's nicer as well. So yeah, that's awesome.
So that's what it is. Like I said, we're going to start changing things over and putting it out there. That's why I thought this was such a good way to do it. And we can think back and maybe we'll try to throw some of those old school videos that we did into this somewhere to do it. I remember, I think it was actually an anniversary. I think it popped up on my Facebook like 2 weeks ago when we stood in the office with cheesy little plastic glasses, and I don't know if we actually bought champagne or we put like apple juice in them.
Maybe ginger ale.
Oh yeah, maybe ginger ale, to announce that I was actually joining the Jeremy Pilarski Homes team. And I remember we stood behind the desk there, and we probably stuck it on a tripod and did our little video. And my hair was a lot less gray.
Mine was not gray at all.
Yours wasn't gray at all. You've been hanging around with me too long.
Both of us were married. Neither of us had kids. It was a different time.
Life was good.
Well, I think we're recording still.
Oh, shit. Life is still good.
Let me remind you of a video
Yeah.
we did. We had an idea of building a website that was all video based. And we thought people want to watch videos. We built a website. We spent tons of time on it. We created all these videos. The video we did for our contact page. So I don't know where I heard this. I read this somewhere or something. But the idea is you're supposed to keep people on your contact page longer so that if they're sitting there, they're making a decision to call you. They have lots of time to call you. But if you have nothing there but your name and phone number, they think about it for a second and they might click away if they're bored.
Right.
So we're like, how are we going to keep people here forever? So we did like a 5-minute video of us just sitting by the phone. And I don't know what the result was for the public or people calling in, but I know every time a real estate agent called me who was just looking for my number, so they went to our website, they were killing themselves laughing when they called me.
I remember the video.
Oh, that was great.
Filming the video. They're like,
it's there.
nope.
And then I think in the middle of it, you crank called me, and I'm like, "Hello, Jeremy speaking." And you're like, "It's just me."
I don't know if anybody would sit through watching that today.
I don't know if anyone could click away from it today.
Interesting.
Post a link. Right
Yeah,
here.
right. We should post it and do it and see if
try not to watch the whole thing.
That's today's challenge. We'll put it in here as well and see if you can watch the whole thing.
No, you can't not watch it.
Yeah.
It's like it was the Napoleon Dynamite meets I don't know.
That was.
Better
I
Call
remember
Saul.
when you said website, I giggled because I think we tried to use Wix to build our first website, and we spent 4 months trying to build a website.
Right.
Like every day, we spent at least an hour or two trying to building this website. That I think when we finally got it done and we posted it a month later, sourced it out to somebody else.
Yeah, I think a common mistake so many real estate agents make, right? You try and do something yourself, you take time. Our time is not well spent doing that. But we just had this idea that kept going on. I think we invented Instagram. We wanted a website where people could just clip and watch videos, and we thought that's what people wanted to watch.
Right.
So we were in the wrong business. Unfortunately, we didn't create Instagram. But I think, we just saw that as the thing that people wanted to do, and it worked. Yeah. And that's why I think real estate agents' websites, despite the fact that you can search homes on them better now, they still suck. There's nothing great on a real estate agent's website for the most part.
Because I think that the purpose that people have their websites for isn't the right purpose. Right? You're right. You go to our website and you can do a property search.
Yeah.
But is that what people are looking for to come to your website?
So what would you have? Like what would make it amazing if technology was unlimited? Well, you put your
Well, let me ask you a
Instagram
question.
feed, yeah.
And I think it's an interesting question now. Is if you are looking to hire a new service provider, real estate agent, whatever it is, mortgage broker, whoever, and you heard and I said, hey, Jerry, you got to check, you need this, call so-and-so. They're really good. They've helped me, whatever. What's the first thing you would do?
Search my Instagram.
Yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't log on to www.joeschmo.whoever.com.
Yeah.
I still think, by the way, there's a large category of people who will Google.
Yes.
And maybe there's reviews, look at reviews.
Yeah.
But the website is such a small piece of it. The website can show you a little bit about your address. You can talk about your philosophy. You can talk about those type of things. And then you can, call to action. You can sell something. You can do those things.
Yeah.
Book appointments.
But the Instagram that's where people learn who you are. That's where I think someone decides if they want to engage you or at least contact you to go the next step.
Yeah.
That's where people are looking, and that's why we've changed our focus to that and spend so much time and effort on Instagram and Facebook too, and social media, because that's where everybody goes first now.
Yeah, and I still think Facebook business pages make a lot of sense. Yeah. I still think groups, having community. Yeah. Ultimately, I think we failed as real estate agents if we get to people when they're about to list their house. If we haven't built a database with them, if we haven't gotten them by referral when they come to us, all those things, at the end of the day, that's where most people find their agent.
Right.
And the last thing they do, if they've never lived in a town and they don't have the internet and they don't, like they're that far, they're totally disconnected with it, then they'll look at the flyer.
Right.
And the flyer advertising, it has a value still.
Yeah.
It still creates brand awareness. But if you don't have those other things to support it, those agents who were, those 90s agents who were killing it and doing amazing, who haven't added social media to their business, who haven't built that web presence, they're having a tougher time, especially with COVID and not wanting strangers into your house and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's really made a difference.
Yeah. We talk about it a lot, internally for us about, we're spending more money on social media and that stuff. We're spending more time on that and everything because that's where everybody is, right? People aren't reading a physical newspaper anymore, right? Everybody's online. So that's where you have to be. If you're not, then you're invisible.
I remember hearing Gary Vaynerchuk say a few years ago, he's like, you want to have a billboard? People are looking at their phones while they're driving. They're not even looking at the road.
Hopefully not, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's look, to that point, I think one of our best things that we ever did in marketing, I was going to say as we grew up, but
it really was.
Yeah, kind of, was our mini.
Oh my God. That has paid for itself a million times over.
So I don't know, it was maybe like 4 years after we started working together, we had the idea of getting a car and wrapping a car.
Yeah, truthfully, I always wanted to do it. I thought it was like the best idea, but my ego didn't let me drive a wrapped car. It was silly. Probably, I know, whatever real estate agent, the most value you can get is show up in a car, although you need another car.
Yes.
Because you don't want to advertise which house you're in.
Well, and there are people that say, I want you to come over, I want to meet with you. But you're not going to drive the Mini, are you?
Yeah, you're not going to drive the Mini. I don't want my neighbors to see it. Yeah. Like I can park around the block, or you drive something else.
Exactly.
But that Mini, first of all, part of the reason we got it was because I needed another car. But that just gave us the impetus to do it. But it was such a great idea, and so many people, over the years have said, "Oh, you're the guy with the car?
Yeah.
I've seen your car." Yeah. Right, and it just really works. And for the cost of a billboard, it's so much more expensive, and not a big billboard like a bus bench type of cost.
Well, but let me say, even for a period, I had a billboard at Bathurst and Shepherd on top of the Shepherd Plaza, And even to this day, people will come up to me and say, "Oh, I saw your car."
Right.
But no one ever comes up and says, "I saw your billboard."
Right. Exactly.
But people will talk about the car all the time.
The car is effective. The only mistake, we don't have 2 or 3 cars floating around.
Right. And we don't drive it enough.
We don't drive it enough, and we don't have it strategically placed at different places. But I'll tell you what, in the years it's been sitting in my driveway, I've gotten more listings around my house. In the years it's been sitting in your driveway, you get more listings.
Yeah.
People drive by, people say, "Oh, I know where you live."
Yeah.
Everyone knows it.
Everybody.
And if you want to break through clutter in advertising, that's a great way to do it.
It was a great way to do it. That was one of the smartest
Yeah.
things that we ever did.
And by the way, it gets cheaper over time, not more expensive. If you have a billboard, every year they raise the price.
Right.
The car, we're sort of, I don't know what we're paying for it. I should start saying you and not we.
It's like nothing.
But it costs nothing.
I mean, now we have a car. I think it's probably 8 years old, and we have like 10,000 kilometers on this car.
Yeah, and despite the fact our kids are 8 and 7, one of them's going to be
Right.
one of them's going to be driving a 2007 Mini when they get they get their license.
Now I gotta get the Mini rewrapped.
Yeah, boom.
So you gotta come up with an idea. If anyone's watching this and they're good with design, come up with a new design for the Mini.
Yeah.
Put that out as a contest or something.
That's a great idea. Mini wrapping contest.
Yeah. I mean, we talk so much. I feel
What
like
else
I don't
do
know
you
what
wanna
else
talk
we need to talk about.
I want to talk about one thing.
All right.
One thing else. Other thing
Now I
that
feel like I'm
no,
lost.
this is we'll get into more personal stuff, but just in terms of our branding, in terms of our business philosophy, in terms of what we did.
Yeah.
At one point, like I met with a marketing guy, and he was like, "Tell me your business in 7 words."
Right.
And I said, "I'm honest and a hard working person." Right? And I had nothing. And he's like, every real estate agent's going to say they're honest. Every real estate agent's saying they're hardworking. What's different about you? And you have to be able to say it in 7 words. Can I swear?
You can say what I know. What you're gonna say is go to town.
Our philosophy that we lived and died by, we made so many decisions by.
I wouldn't say did. We still do.
We still make, yes. Other agents fuck deals up, we don't.
Yeah.
And I would say we've saved 20 deals over the years.
Yeah.
Just by being stuck in a situation, about to make a decision. I'm thinking of a house on DeQuincy, and the seller kicked us out. We knew we had a great price for them. The deal was falling apart. The buyer wanted $1,500 to fix something. I think we kicked in a little bit, but she just was saying no. She said no, and she said, "And you know what? And take off your sign off my lawn tomorrow. I'm not selling with you guys." And she kicked us out of the house, and my ego got the better of me, and I said, "Let's get out of here. Forget this." And we walked down the street, and about 4 houses down the street, I go, "Hold on a second, let's go back." Other agents fuck deals up. We don't. We knew this was the right deal for this woman. She needed to do the deal.
Yeah.
It would have hurt her financially if she didn't do it.
Oh, yeah.
Our motivation was in the right place, and we went back, knocked on the door. She was furious when she saw us. And she said, "What are you doing here?" And I just said, just honestly, I'm sorry, we had an argument, whatever it was. You have to do this deal.
Yeah.
And I put my ego aside, and we did the deal. And the reason we had to make this deal is because the house down the street was sold conditionally, and we knew that was way less.
Yes.
So she got, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000 more than the neighbor got for an identical house. And hers
For an inferior house.
inferior house. It had a lot of issues. And we did the deal. And at the end of the day, she was grateful for it.
Right.
And that philosophy kept us on track to make the deal.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really important aspect of our development in terms of how we work and what we do. And to this day, we talk all the time about situations where agents screw up deals. And we say, well, we wouldn't have screwed that up.
Right.
All the time. And I think buyers and sellers have no idea.
How can they?
Where agents make mistakes, say the wrong thing, talk about their ego, anything. There are a million ways for an agent to screw up a deal.
Yeah.
And if you're not conscious of it, and if it's not your objective, it sounds silly. Everyone's objective. Real estate agent's objective. I want to make a commission. I want to sell a house. But the ego messes
Gets
with
in the
that
way.
so big.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's ways to make commission, and there's ways to do deals, but there's ways to do the right deals in the right ways for people. Right. And that was always the mindset, is trying to take ourselves out of it. And what am I doing for that person to make this the best? And it's the same thing. We talk about it a lot with when we're calling, cold calling people and prospecting and dealing with people, is like, we need to talk to these people because God forbid they want to sell and somebody else calls them. They're going to do a worse job or not get as much money or not get the deal done as well. We've got to make sure that we talk to these people today.
Right. The great motivator. That's such a good point. The great motivator for a nice guy real estate agent. And there's so many of them out there. So many really nice realtors that care about their clients and everything. Think of the realtor either in your office or in your marketplace or wherever, that you would never want your mom to list with. Right? Think of that guy going to this person's house. Going to the person you're thinking about calling, and they list with them. How would you feel if they listed with them? That's your motivation to get on the phone, call that person, and make sure that you do whatever it takes to get their business, because you're going to take care of them. You're going to get them more money, and they're going to be happy with their experience with you.
Right. And that's what it is. It's the experience. Right. And that's now with what you're doing in your new life, it's all about experience. Right. So it's all about you're creating experiences for guys like me to make sure that we can help our clients and serve our clients best.
Right. It works the same at the brokerage level, right? So there are a million brokerages out there, just like there are a million real estate agents out there. Most of them are selling on price.
Yeah.
I could do it for cheaper. I can do it for cheaper. Right. And, an agent can say, I could save $10,000 or $20,000 by going to the cheaper place.
Right.
But I don't get the branding that matters to a buyer and seller. I don't get the service from the brokerage to make sure that everything's processed on time, everything works properly, my office is open longer, all those things.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they need support. You need to have a manager in place. You need to have a system behind you. You need to have tools, strategies, and support, and an environment, actually. I think, lastly, the environment. Not only, did we have each other, developing, but you've got guys in the office who are doing what you're doing, succeeding at a higher level or trying to get to where you are. And when you're talking to those people, when you're in that environment, it's exciting and you want to grow and you're challenged to grow.
Yeah. That for our business, like you said, it's a lonely business if you don't have people surrounding you and people to go to and people to talk to and push you. Because then you can just fall into we deal with emotional people on our client side. But I know for me, like, it's an emotional day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. You can go from here to here to here and go back home at the same level at 9 o'clock at night. But the trip that you've been on that day is like, you can't even imagine it.
Yeah. And if you don't get a bunch of realtors around you who understand the struggle and want you to succeed as much as they want themselves to succeed, if you don't have that, it's going to be really difficult. It's really difficult to explain. You can't explain to your friends that you sold a house and you made a commission and you're disappointed with how it went and all those things, right? They're like, it just doesn't make sense. The numbers don't make sense on a deal by deal basis. But at the end of the day, you have to work hard and you have to have people around you who are there to support you.
Yeah. For sure. And I know that's what we had and supported, and we still have it with the team now. And you're doing that on a broader scale. So I know it's going to be, amazing for anybody that's working with you now and agents that you're helping and helping them get to the next level. Interestingly,
we still kept up with our recruiting, but we really, when COVID started, we turned inside and we said, how are we going to support our agents? And through doing that, we're growing at a faster rate than we've grown in 20 years.
Right. Well, that's really exciting. It's that experience, right? It's the same thing as if you serve people well, they can't do anything but talk about it, right? So if you're serving us well and I'm talking to agents, they're going to hear that and see that. And if they're thinking about a new brokerage, they're going to call you. Exactly. It's the same thing as with our clients and sellers and buyers. If we can create an experience that's memorable and that they're excited about, and that's an amazing experience, they're going to tell all of their people, right? Like, that's a plan we always say, is that, we need to create their experience so they can't help but tell everybody that if someone's thinking about real estate, they need to call us.
Cool. Awesome. I want to thank you for everything, but especially for coming on and doing this with me. It's a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do another one at some point and we'll find some more stuff. We should just do it and talk about it. I mean, we got some fun stories to tell. We should just do it.
Can I be a reoccurring guest?
Maybe we'll get you that spot. We'll put say reserved for Jeremy Pilarski on it.
Yeah.
But thank you. I appreciate it. And that's it. Thank you. I appreciate everything.
Thank you. Fun to be here with you.
Yeah,
Fun to share a little bit of what we always discuss with the world.
That's a glimpse into our conversations and our brains, and our wives can attest to it.
Yeah. Our wives have no idea what we're talking about all the time. And our inside jokes. We didn't get to all our inside jokes, but that's okay. And I just want to say I'm super excited to see what you do with Jordan Glaser Real Estate. I'm going to be proud every time I see a for sale sign. I'm going to be proud every time I see a flyer or a poster wherever you are. And I'm just excited for what you've done, where you've come, and where you're going. And
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing many more years of success.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Jer.
Cheers.